So what else are you doing today, dude?
Man, nothing. We got a special thing at church later that we're gonna go back up to, but other than that, we're just hanging out.
Where are you going to church?
So we go to First Baptist Jinx.
Okay.
Yep. So we'll visit a couple places around here. But that's where we settled on, and a lot of it was with the kids ministry. You know, a good spot for our kids. You know, kind of really pushed it over into
So what made you? That's a whole other episode right there.
Oh gosh,
what
man.
What took you from Church of Christ over into First Baptist?
So when I went to Abilene Christian Church of Christ School.
Yep.
And got hooked up with a Baptist church down there that was, an amazing church. And
other than the fact you can play your bass guitar, I mean that's probably the real reason, right?
I've been blessed with the gift.
Right.
I mean, well, you got to use it.
Exactly.
Why aren't you recording? Why did you stop recording?
I just stopped it and started again.
Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't. Oh, man, I couldn't get over that, reality of, I honestly feel like I've been blessed to do something, but I can't do it. I mean, it doesn't, my brain just disconnects right there.
But I mean, it seems like when I left, there was that deal going on at Jinx, right? A Sunday night deal.
Yeah. And I think that was still going when I left, when I went off to college. And I think, a year or two later, it kind of fell apart. I don't know all the specifics as to what happened, but I think now they went through a whole life cycle after that, the Jinx Church of Christ, and they became Jinx Church, and then we're doing some instrumental stuff, and then I think they went back to being just Church of Christ, and then they started maybe introducing some of it back again. I honestly don't know. My parents still go there and they love it. I mean, some of their best friends are still involved with church. Yeah. And I think, it's a great church, but when we came back, it wasn't where we thought we should end up landing at.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is it a big church? I guess it is, probably First Baptist.
Yeah. I think we got 1,200 or so regular attenders. So.
Are you
they got to jump on all the others.
Are you a Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night?
No, so we are a Sunday morning, and we have Sunday morning class with our community group. Our community group also meets on Sunday night once a month. And then they have Wednesday night stuff that's kind of voluntary. It's they're almost more for the kids, but they have some adult stuff up there, and that you can go up there early and have meal. They offer meal for anybody that wants to do it.
Yeah.
And then if I'm playing in the band on that Sunday, I'll go up there Wednesday also and practice that on Wednesday nights. So.
That's cool.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. What about you guys? I was wanting to ask what your status was.
Sam,
I mean, we're in no judgment zone here.
Okay. Well, it's a good thing because those do not land home as well anymore for me. But I haven't gone to church for. I think I've darkened the door of a church 2 times since I've lived in New Jersey in 5.5 years. And, a testament to just kind of how my life has fallen apart and the punishment that has rained down on me as a result. Yeah. I still feel like I'm a very spiritual person. I don't know what I believe. I don't know what I believe at my core about God and the universe. I know that it was shaped and I think just really in a way I don't like by church business and I think when we talk about all these outside influences on life and how they've really the heavy expectations and what they do to what you want out of life, I feel like church was probably about the best place if you want to kind of get like a huge weight just set on top of you in terms of how you're supposed to live life. That's the first place I'd go. Yep, and right. So I'm just really butthurt, right now over church, and I haven't even taken a step or two back in that direction. I don't mind going though. Like I don't think it like harmed me in that way, but when I go, I can still appreciate some of the traditions, some of the experience. We've taken the kids a couple times, but I think I'm so still in my infancy going down that journey. That it's like I don't want one more influence in my life telling me what it's supposed to look like and how it's supposed to be. I'm very happy with who I'm becoming and as a person and how my family is growing and developing. And, I'm not looking for anything to really throw a wrench in that. So it's a little bit less about kind of the spirituality and just a lot more about, I'm going to live my life how I want to live it. And I'm very confident in what that is. And I'm not seeking anybody else to do that. And for me, this is church. I get what I get out of church right here. And in other venues like this. And I think when you can live a courageous life in front of other people, and you can have church just about anywhere you want to. And so that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, for me, we moved out here, and I think I was on the tail end really of the point where I'd kind of given up on really believing that church is what Jesus is even talking about. Church to me is it's like a big funnel. It's if you see it like a big funnel and just dollars and dollars and dollars going in, with at the bottom of the funnel these little just pennies dropping out that are going to the community, and not even out of a bad heart. I mean, I'm not even talking about the mega church pastors that have the $20 million planes. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just a 20,000 square foot building.
It's the economics of
a building, and if you've got 1,200 people, so you got 500, 400 family units that are dropping, $3,000 or $4,000 each a month into the plate, maybe, or 2, 3, whatever it is. But there's an enormous amount of resource going in to sustain itself.
Yep.
Where in my thought, was always like, or not always, but has changed into what if those same 400 families just decided to pool their resources and 1 week we're going to send our money here, and 1 week we're going to send our, from that standpoint, it's an incredibly inefficient way to spend money.
100%. Yeah.
On the other standpoint, I just don't think Jesus had church in mind when he was talking about the things that we've gotten definition of church from. I don't
21st century church is not.
Yeah, I don't think he had that in mind at all. And yes, it does. And I think it does play a part, but it doesn't play a spiritual part. It has a social part, maybe a social aspect, and a kind of a pooling of resources of, if you want to raise your kids kind of in a community and have some social interaction with people that are good people, I mean, it has a place there, but as far as real spiritual development, it's not proven to be a really successful way to make people better. Because the same people are in there for 20, 30, 40 years, and they're the same person when they walked out as they walked in. So it's not doing its job, or the job that we're assigning to it. And I think this, just like you said, Sam, this does do that job. 3 men talking, does that, and or 2 men, going to, just being together and having a relationship. That's the model that Jesus, if we're going to go with the model, that's the model that he went with, and he ran from the crowds. It's like he would feed the crowds just to get them out of his hair. So he could spend more time with the 3 or 4 that he'd rather spend his time with, and that model did prove to change the entire world, but this model doesn't. This model that we're continuing to pour billions of dollars in America into is not doing anything but continue to foster and cause division, you know?
Yeah. I 100% agree. And I totally get, both of your positions. I think you kind of touched on it some of, maybe even the social aspect of it. I mean, that's definitely not the only reason we go, but that's a big part of it. We want to be in a community of other, people like us and those influences on our children, that was a really big deal to us. And that's, why we're still going or why we're going where we're going, even in particular. But I also wrestle really hard with the economics and exactly what you're talking about. Like, why is this the most efficient way? Is this a thing to do? And then I kind of fall back on, well, I just stay in it, stay doing it because I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
And then I kind of get tired head of thinking about what it would be to fix, and then just keep going. You know what I mean? Like,
tell me about. I mean, I lived right there for the last couple of years, in ministry. Just going. The only way to fix this is for me to figure out how to make money doing something else, because if it's fixed, then I'm out of a job. And that was that was a part of it. A part of it is does it really require, and I'm not going to tell anybody not to pay their minister, but that's what all that is. I mean, you've got hundreds, some churches you're paying over $1 million a year for salaries and payroll taxes and, all that kind of stuff. If so.
And I guess I don't know, what the solution is. It's like, okay, well, is the solution we just need to abolish all churches right now, and we're the kingdom is going to be better off for it, or is that going to have an adverse reaction, and in 10 years they're going to be just no believers anymore? I don't think that's true, but it's just, okay, well, how do we get there? Even if recognizing the problem is the first step to correcting it.
Well, I think even, getting back to definitions, what is a believer? I mean, if that is the response, then there are going to be no more believers if believers are defined as people that show up 3 times a week, but are unchanged.
Yeah.
I mean, we've Sam and I've had this conversation. I've probably opened my Bible 10 times since I've lived in San Diego in 11 years. I've probably opened it 10 times. I don't even know where it is, And if I've opened my Bible 10 times over the last 11 years, I've read it 9 more times than anybody in the first century.
Right. Yep.
And if I read the letter to the Ephesians, if I've read it 50 times in my life, which I have, I've probably read it 500 times in my life. Mm-hmm. I've read it 1,000 times more than any of them did, because they probably didn't even hear. It was just a letter that was given to them. But it's turned into this like curriculum today, and it's used in a way that was never intended for it to be used, and Sam and I had this conversation the other day. It's like, what would you, if you could just read it one time, and not even read it once, if you could just hear it read one time, what would be your takeaway? If there weren't numbers at the beginning of every sentence throughout the whole letter, and weren't bigger numbers of chapters, if all those weren't in there and it was just read to you one time, what would you walk away with? Whatever that is, that's what those people walked away with, and it was enough to change the world. Just their takeaway was enough to change the world. And it's like our terminology growing up was, "Are you a daily Bible reader?"
Right.
Nobody in the first 300 years of Christianity was a daily Bible reader, because it didn't exist.
They're all terrible.
I think kind of building on that, and to also respond to your point, Jace. Like, I think for me, it's going back to what is it that I want out of life. Okay, I know that I don't want for my family like what I experience and the stuff that I have now. And like, even in hearing you say, well, we go for the social aspect, and it's, well, that's not all, right? And that's what you have been trained. You have been trained, Jace. Okay, and this is where I get on my soapbox to know that is not the right answer.
Yeah, right.
That is not right.
Don't get me wrong. That's not all. Yeah.
That's not all, right? And if I was to rank the importance, I'd put it way down here below what I know that is the most important thing. So we're good, right? My beliefs, I'm all good.
Yeah, the real list is too long for me to go down. So we'll just
yeah. We know what's at the top. We know what's at the top, right? It's Jesus. Okay, we get it. Yeah. And you have to preface every damn thing that you say. Yeah. And I just don't want my kids to live life with that, like, explaining themselves. And that's all church, the way we're talking about it now, ever did for me, was give me that. And so I just kind of got to the place where, like, fixing it for me was fixing it for me. And I'd love to go back to a church, as long as those crazy people want to do what they do, and I don't mean this as insulting and condescending as it's coming across. I promise you, I appreciate everything that it does for you. I get that a different way, right? So I'm totally cool with you going to church and getting what you get out of it. And that makes me really, really happy. I just choose to do it a different way. And I think that's at the core of everything that I've been going through recently is just getting centered and saying, if my family needs X, how am I going to get X and provide an experience that's developmental and fosters the kind of life that I and they want to live. And
well, and to make one correction to what you said that's all church ever gave you. I mean, these 3 rectangles right here is what church gave me. It's a part of it. So there is a value to it. There's something,
But Jace, that's what you said, right? That's what you said.
But that's what, and that's the part that's downplayed. This thing that the 3 of us have
shouldn't be ashamed by that.
Right, is the part that's downplayed. why are you going to church? Because Jason and Sam are going to be there. That's why I'm going.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm going there to worship too and pray. Yeah.
Oh, you guys are going to be there too? Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, right. Are you going to church tonight? You're not? Okay, I'm not either. How many times did that conversation happen in life?
Ooh, yeah. I'm kind of sick.
But I mean, that's it. If the people are there that you love and you want to hang out with, I mean, it's got a place, but
I think a lot of it too is like, I don't know, it's used as like a population segmentation, like I know that if I go there, everybody I'm going to meet is going to be of somewhat of a similar mind to me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have to
right.
Sift off all the crazies.
You can leave your children in the classroom and not have to worry. I mean, that's got a incredible value,
Yeah. Yeah. You walk off.
If I could make a correction, I might make it there.
Well, most of the time.
I don't know that I agree with that. I mean, I just don't know. I think if there's any place as a weirdo that I would go, it would be church. Do we have any experience with that, Mike?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Have you ever have any weirdos come through?
I mean, I haven't been the weirdo, but we've had weirdos show up at church for sure. Right?
Well, I didn't mean you. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, where else do you go? You go to church, and I don't. I mean, there's these crazy people. It's not like that's who we leave our kids with. And it's like I mean, we're seeing that. The Catholic Church. Look at it. Like, they systematize that. They've operationalized abuse of children through that kind of trust.
Yeah.
And I think, Jace, that's a trap. I think that's where you're going in some ways too. Is that there are some negative unintended societal consequences to that construct too.
Yeah.
Yep.